Hello, friends. Happy Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday. We are back with the live. Welcome to Inlera University. I'm Jasmine Vialese. If it's your first time here, I'm super excited that you are here. In this space, we're focused around alleviating the stress and confusion in the business of healthcare. And today we are talking to our aspiring and current medical billing business owners. So if you are that individual, someone who has been hoping to explore the possibilities of opening up maybe a side hustle, even if it's doing consulting or something in that realm, or you're ready to start a business and I have no idea what we're doing in the world of medical billing or on this side of healthcare, then today's stream is going to be for you. So my friends, this is part of a kind of a mini series that we're doing. So we have talked to other billing business owner topics in the past. Last year, I say about the same time of year, around fall of last year, we were focused heavily on billing business company owners and giving you guys resources. So I just want to point you back in that direction of playlists as well that we have here on the channel, because there's a lot of opportunity for you to learn quite a bit if you're someone who's just kind of dancing around the idea. And also if someone who you are ready to take action and you want to implement, you can take all of that information and implement. You have everything that you need, I believe, right there. And if you don't, if you're having trouble navigating and you have questions, I would love to be a resource for you. So write in comments and just let me know that that is what you're thinking. Or you need it. I'm sorry, that is what you have a question about. I want you to let me know that you're here by popping a comment in the chat. And today's question of the day is about pumpkins. So the pumpkin season are here. This pumpkin season is here. As a matter of fact, right here on my desk, I have a pumpkin muffin that is left over from yesterday because it was like so big, but it's so yummy. And I'm kind of like on the fence about all things pumpkin to drink. And Nicole and I were briefly chatting during trivia last week about the fact that we both love and enjoy eating pumpkin-y stuff, but drinking it's a little weird. So I'm curious what your opinion is. I'm all about like apple-y things, drinking apple cider, drinking versions of apple flavored things. I don't know why, but me and pumpkin were just not a thing. So I'm curious to know if you're like one of those folks who just like day of everybody rolls out their pumpkin stuff in end of August and you're all over it. Is that you? I'm just curious. All right. So today we're talking about 5 ways to structure your medical billing business. I want you to get your pen and papers out. If you've not done a live with me before, then you may not be aware that I talk fast. I can deliver a lot of information in a short period of time. So I want you to know that you can slow me down by navigating to whatever app that you're on. You probably can slow down the speed. Or you can rewatch this, So if you are someone who wants to take notes, grab your pen and paper or your phone or whatever other device and get ready, because today we are going deep. So 5 tips to structure your medical billing business. Hey, Todd, welcome. Great to see you. We have a member in the house ready for Halloween decorating. Oh, we're going to bypass the others. Like, we don't need any of September. We're just going all in Halloween. Actually, I do know people that's what they do at the start of September. They decorate for Halloween. So I feel like you'd be in good company. I think I give you full permission if you were hoping for permission from me. All right, Todd. Nicole, let's see. Apple over pumpkin every day. Heck yeah. That's how I feel too. Every single day. All right. Yeah. Support Halloween fever. Yeah, I do too, actually. I feel like Halloween's appropriate. Like you could Halloween stuff until Thanksgiving, like maybe even the week before Thanksgiving. I think that's a thing. It should be a thing anyway. Like what else would you do? You're going to have to change it out for like pumpkin or autumn, like season stuff. It's just not as fun. It's just not as fun. So I know. I was so sad. You have sunflowers in your yard? That's amazing. I actually forgot to buy my sunflowers yesterday when I go to the grocery stores typically on Monday, and I buy new sunflowers. But I did not make it to any of the farms this year, sunflower farms that everybody's always raving about, because they do at the end of the season give away, like you can just go there and cut your own. And so, yeah, I didn't make it this year. So I just keep going to Trader Joe's and buying my own. All right, let's get to it. We've got a lot to talk about today. Oh, and if you don't know, this is a part of, I'll just mention this at the front end in case you don't hang out for the entire time today. I don't want you to miss. We have a couple of other things happening before something that happens this Saturday. So if you are someone who works during the week and don't get a chance to engage a whole lot here on the lives, let's say live, while it's running and you're watching it on the replay a lot, then you're going to want to sign up for this Saturday's webinar. Saturday, September 14th at 11 a.m. Eastern, we have a webinar that is geared towards this similar topic, but we're going a lot deeper, and we are really I'm going to be walking folks through the entire inception process. So I have an inner circle, if you were not familiar, that we basically are focused on what I like to think of as incubating, right? Helping people from the moment that they've already created their business and have a general sense of what they want to be, helping them grow that business with intention and really allowing their systems to be strengthened along the way and allow them to be clear about what they desire for their business and business structure. That's the focus of our inner circle medical billing business incubator. Okay, that's the focus. But what I'm doing on Saturday is kind of, we'll say, precedes the incubator, because what I'll talk about on Saturday are for those folks who either haven't really quite structured their business or don't know the possibilities behind really creating their business and getting things pulled together. So from start to finish, getting the business concept created and launched. So we're really talking kind of pre-launch to launch. And then once we're in launch, you potentially could be ready for something like the inner circle. But for our inner circle, we are focused on incubating. We're focused, the seeds have already been planted, and we are nurturing, we are creating the right opportunities for you. We're thinking about ways for you to serve your clients, right? We're not helping with the pre-launch and the early stages in the launch, okay? So Saturday is going to be great for those folks who are like, I've been thinking about this for so long, don't know what to do, don't know how to do it. So make sure that you get signed up for that. And if you are someone who's been doing this for a while, Todd, call you out, and you want to add some value in the chat on Saturday, if you just happen to hang out and you want to be around for that, welcome. Anybody who has been in the business of healthcare and feels like they could add value to the webinar, I would love to have you there, because you also can add questions, add comments that would be thought-provoking questions for folks in the audience, and also for me, because I don't pretend to know everything. I use the network of folks that I'm connected to, bring them into this space to give you guys the answers. And I'm using my 20 plus years of business ownership experience to weave in the knowledge that I have based off of real life experience. All right. And that's actually really important. If you're just watching this for the first time, you don't know who I am. I have over 20 years in business, medical billing business ownership experience. And then I've been in the industry for 26 years now. So I know a little bit, and I'm hoping that you glean some sort of information that you find helpful in your journey, and that you can take that away and implement and integrate it into what you're doing in real life. All right. In real life, not on YouTube, in real life. I don't know why I said real life, but all right, my friends, let's get back to our 5 tips. So we're talking about structuring the billing business. Now, for me, before we get into the actual structuring of your medical billing business, we think about, the nuts and bolts of that infrastructure. It's like, before we talk about organizing what is happening in the medical billing business, we really need to think about what are the ingredients that we're even working with. And so for me, the ingredients are going to be your people, and the people that you choose to either have on your team or even yourself. So what type of people do we need? And what kind of people we want to serve, okay? Because it's the matching of the two that matter most. So getting super clear on who it is that you want to serve. I like to call them the avatars. Who it is that you want to serve, like exactly who they are. Like if you could give them a persona, they could walk around with a little avatar person, when I say avatar, I mean like Bitmoji. Think like Bitmoji, right? Like you could draw them a little Bitmoji, like what would they look like and what would they be doing in their little pictures, like typically, are they like, folks that have families and they'll, want to have balance with being able to have a work-life balance, and they understand the importance of that, right? You have to get really crystal clear about the qualities and the nature of these people, because not only is it going to help you be able to choose people that feel like their needs are getting met, but it also is going to allow you to feel like in the relationship, both of you can be honored. For example, if you choose someone who's like, They don't believe in the idea of family. They've never been, married. They don't have kids. And you're like, you want someone to kind of relate to when you're supporting them in a very close way, or they can feel like they can relate to you. That's very challenging if you're someone who has like, you're a big family person. You got 6 children and you live on a farm and you guys, like kids are homeschooled and you're just like totally different. And you got this high powered, medical provider owner who has never had kids and they're in their, late 50s, early 60s, and, live in a high rise in in a big city, right? Like not saying impossible for you to serve people like that. It just means that you're not going to have the same relatability to who they are as people. And you have to have that awareness that even in conversation, right? They probably don't necessarily want to hear all the updates about your kids' schools and various like small talk conversations, right? You have to know what types of ways that you might be able to create this rapport with those folks, all right? So really having a clear sense of the people that you're bringing in your team, because those folks are going to be the ingredients or the folks that are going to relate to the folks that you're choosing to serve. All right. So that it's the two of them coming together that makes for possibilities. So whether or not it's you as a solopreneur, you're someone who's starting the business and serving the clients as well, or you bring on a couple of other folks on your team, if they're going to be client facing, you want to make sure that they pair well. All right. So the structuring of the business, the infrastructure of the business in a service-based business is the people, right? First, the people first. Now, from our perspective, we talk a lot about the 3 Ps in this space. If you're not familiar with it, we talk people, process, and performance, right? But for us, the people come first because the people can make or break on all sides, both the client side and the team. They can make or break the possibilities of what you can do in the industry. So if you talk people being the most important part, I relate the 3 Ps to the baking of a cake all the time. And so we've got our ingredients. Those are our people, right? The people that we're choosing to serve, the people that we're bringing on the team, or even the qualities and the nature of who we are, right? How we show up, how we choose to show up. If we know that we want to show up in a way that is honoring of our clients and being able to relate and have higher levels of communication skills and the ability to problem solve effectively, and we know we lack these skills, right? We have to be willing to go out and get the training to build upon these skills. We have to be willing to put ourselves in situations and scenarios where we can harness this skill set. Okay. So I want you to be really clear about the people and like defining who we want to serve and who it is that we want to bring on our team being the first part, those key ingredients to structuring a business. Because without a clear picture, and again, you don't even need to actually have hired someone yet. Okay. We talk a lot about getting prepared for selecting your team, right? So it's even if you are the solopreneur, you're the person wearing literally all the hats. You got to know what the hats are, right? People say that statement a lot. I wear all the hats. Well, really, what does that even mean? And if you were to give somebody a hat, what would that hat include? What would that entail? What would they be responsible for? How would it flow, right? So you have to understand what exactly you're doing as a solopreneur. Who are you? Who the people? I don't know what I was going to, I don't know. The words are not coming together. So we're just going to put that over there. But what I was going to say is basically like all the different parts of you, the different personas that you represent in your business as a solo business owner, as a solopreneur, that those personas have the ability to exist completely autonomously and independent of you, if you allow those things to start to come to the surface while you are building upon your client base and, becoming more confident in what you're doing as a business owner. When you are the business first, you can potentially go beyond you being the one who runs the whole show. Okay, that's the hope, right? My desire for you, and I'm going to continue to repeat this over and over again, is even my folks who are solopreneurs and you choose to have this kind of side hustle business, my desire is that you recognize that because you are your business, you must bake in opportunities for you to move away from the business from time to time, which means you have to have some safety net of opportunity for you to have folks come in and serve your clients in some capacity. I don't want to think of it like a substitute at school, like where they're going to come in. I kind of want you to think about it like that, where a substitute might come in, they're going to kind of fill the shoes. They may not do it perfectly, right? They're going to go with whatever knowledge and experience they have, but you have created your own, like the teachers do. You've given a curriculum that they leave behind, like a little guidebook that tells the substitutes what to do when they're not there, right? Substitute teachers get called sometimes like on the fly. My mom substitute taught for a very long time, and she would get called in the morning, right? It's not like she got a whole lot of runway to prepare, but when she gets to the classroom, there's something there, right? Whether or not it's a curriculum or an email or whatever that came through that gives her some information. And that's what my hope is, even as a solopreneur, that you're building yourself this opportunity where, like, God forbid something happens to you, you have some sort of evidence of success that you've left behind. What does it mean for you to be successful on a week basis, right? And can you leave those same clues for someone who might be coming in to support you, whether it's long-term or short-term, right? We may not have the opportunity as a medical billing business to have like temps or whatever that come in and can have that same quick fill of the shoes. But maybe you could create a network of 2 to 4 folks in this community, in the Medical Billers Network, that you are reaching out to and saying, hey, I need someone to come in. I've got a surgery I need to have done, a surgery that I couldn't figure out the phrasing for that. I need a surgery done, and I need someone to come in and temporarily serve my clients for the next 6 to 8 weeks. And I'd love folks that have this experience with these software. And if you have, those hats defined, to use my example earlier, and you have things clarified as far as what those people would look like, you could give these temporary folks those hats and say, here, these are the things that I want you to do while I'm away, right? They may not be able to do all the things. We don't expect that. But what at the bare minimum could you be able to offer to them? All right. So again, that was our first point. We're talking people, and that's people, both your clients that you want to serve and potential folks, whether it's still you and it's different personas that you represent in your business. Those things need to be defined. That is the first, number one, most important piece to structuring your medical billing business. Next, I've kind of started down the path a little bit, right? We talked about giving these temporary folks some sense of what you want them to do when they're there. So our next most important step is processes, right? Really starting to think about processes specifically, not talking like global document, right? Which we'll get there, but thinking specifically onboarding processes, because this right here, onboarding both people into the business as well as team members into the business as well as clients into the business, like both of these have the opportunity to epically waste your time and your time, and then your greatest resource, which is time, but also your money, right? So you are choosing to not document an onboarding process. By not choosing to document an onboarding process, you then are instead investing literally your time and effort in trying to maybe figure out what is the next best step every single time that you are moving through this process with someone. And once you've done it, if you've done it once, you should document it. And what you're going to do is strip away the parts that we know didn't work. And it's a constant evolution, right? It's a constant reworking and saying, okay, like with this client, it was 15 steps. That seems like a lot, because it also took us 7 weeks to do it, right? To complete the onboarding process. Like, you should know how long it took and how many steps it was. And then next time it's like, how can we shave off just a couple of steps and maybe just a week, right? Just shorten it by a week and just observe, like, were we successful? Where did we run into more roadblocks with the next client or the next team member that we onboarded, right? Start to really reevaluate, like, where was I not ready? Like, that happens to us, right? We thought we were going to be ready. weren't ready. And so we're like, as this was exciting until it wasn't, until I felt like I was behind the 8 ball. And we have all had those experiences. And so when those happen, you start to kind of check back on it and really evaluate it and get super curious about, what did I do wrong? Like, at what point did I lose track or lose sight of where I wanted this person to be seen in this relationship, whether you want them to be seen as a client that you're onboarding and let them feel supported, or a team member that you're onboarding and them feeling supported, and that you're getting the results from both of those relationships that you hoped for, right? It's really being clear about what that process looks like, and then really kind of evaluating, like, did we miss the mark, and where can I see this get better? So onboarding processes, specifically onboarding processes, because I talked about people, both clients and team members being the first ingredient. And then it's like, well, how do I get them integrated? So I like to think about this part basically is like, if I'm thinking about these things as ingredients, right? If I'm thinking about people as ingredients, it's like, it's the timing in which I choose to introduce these ingredients, right? It's like, when do I choose to add the flour? When am I supposed to, and I never get this right. I'm just gonna let y'all know, making a cake, I am just not the person who has the patience, because people are like, oh, you put the dry ingredients and you sift the flour and you did it. No, I just like dump it all in, right? That's not how it works though. Okay. If you want to be effective, I'm not a baker though. I will not play one on television either. I will eat baked goods. As I said earlier, I have a pumpkin muffin. I will eat it. I will not bake it. But the truth is that once you start to realize these moments where, like, you can introduce a new team member and have them do certain steps, certain parts, we'll say, that make sense. So for example, I'll give you a real life example when it comes to someone coming in to do a function such as payment posting. So you want someone to come in and do payment posting, right? So people do this thing often where they're like, well, we want them to be payment posters, so I'm just going to sit them down and let them watch me payment post for like half the day. And that person is observing you do your job for half the day. That is not an effective way. It's a big time waste. It's also, most people don't learn only by that observing of someone else. Because when you say visual learning, you're not even being able to fully embody what the steps are when somebody is moving through them with a keyboard and a mouse, because it's just hard to really get a sense of what's happening, right? So when you try to introduce someone to a job in that way, we know they're not going to be really learning the position, embodying that role. So you're basically prolonging their learning. So now you start thinking about, what are the things I need to teach them first? So before that, I might choose to introduce them first if they've never had experience in the software. I might just show them training videos so they get a general sense of the UI, right? What's the user interface for this software? So that when we're sitting down, their brain's not throbbing because they've never seen these icons before. They've never even seen this particular clearinghouse or this whatever system that you're logged into to be able to get payment posting or reconciling your ACH transactions or whatever it is. They might be looking at 5 different screens. Like, we know healthcare. If you're in healthcare, you know that it could be a lot, right? And they're processing all of those things while also trying to learn payment posting somehow. So maybe instead you think about what are the first things that I could do? Maybe I give them some videos to watch, just let them get the sense of the software. Maybe I give them a process that says, here, when you come in as a payment poster, these are the things that we want you to have open, because these are the resources that you're going to be utilizing. So just a list of resources so that they're clear. Oh, okay, so when I come in, I typically am going to open up these 4 different software, and this is what I need to have in front of me, right? So you're layering on these things. And that is basically the onboarding. It's like you start to orient it in a sense. And I say onboarding, I don't mean like, yes, they've got to fill out paperwork and do all that. I mean onboarding into the billing business structure, right? We're talking about that today. So ignore the HR stuff, specifically the billing business structure pieces. You want them to be in a place of being able to serve. So they have to be able to have this understanding. All right. So let's get away from people for a moment. People, team members in the company, and talk about clients in the onboarding. So when you're talking about clients in the onboarding process, the same is true. Like, sometimes we get into these new relationships with our clients and we just want to like data dump all the things at once. They're like, hey, I need this and this and this and this and this. And then you give them all of this information up front. And you don't get what you need because you just overwhelmed the crap out of them. Like they leave the first meeting and they're like, I just need a break. I don't know what just happened in there. And they walk away and they don't take action because you overwhelmed them. So you're looking at, okay, what are the proper things? Like if you sat down with a new client, and you tried to get all of their registration information there, meaning like all of the details about their practice, excuse me, about their practice, and all of the history of I got like a frog in my throat. I'm so sorry, y'all. All right, the history of what who did what before, like the different team members that are involved in certain aspects at the front desk, who used to do this billing process before, all of this historical information about the client, stuff that we typically do when we're in the client acquisition process. We're just out there acquiring clients, right? You get to that point, and you're also trying to figure out exactly what they do with their payments when they come in. Like you're going through every single thing. You can be on with them for 5 hours, like in this first discussion, and that's not what we want, right? We don't want to be wasting people's time. We don't want them to leave the meeting and feel their brains throbbing, right? So instead, when you bake out your onboarding process for a new client, you're thinking about these early stages. Like, what are the very first things that I need? I need to first let them know, just very simply, what is it like to work with us? Here's a little, we do a little getting started guide. We're like, hey, this is our quick reference guide to, this is what it's like to work with us. This is how you send us information. This is how we'll send you requests for information. This is how you can reach out to us, right? So we start to just kind of talk high level, because these are going to be the most commonly asked concerns or questions when someone is newly engaged. So you want them to be able to reference it and give them a little bit of peace of mind, right? Other thing we think about is like, the reality is in a new relationship, right? There are things that come up. It's like, I will always equate this to, you guys hear me say this a lot, to like dating and getting to know, because we're marrying our clients. So here's what happens is sometimes in this type of client relationship, we don't have a whole lot. And usually there's deep need, right? There's not a whole lot of time for us to have a dating experience with our new clients before we get married to them, which means signing the contract, right? We're like, you get to know them enough to qualify them. You're like, yes, this is my avatar. I feel good about them. But then you're like, right away, you're getting married. You're signing on we're in, right? They've committed to you. You've committed to them. There's all these expectations. And then you're trying to get to know each other. Then you're dating. Then you're full in. You're like, oh, I don't really know them. You don't really know me. And you're trying to like, they get nervous. They're like, oh, I wonder if they're going to do this. Oh, I wonder if they're going to, and they start calling you. They start texting you. And my friends who have run medical billing businesses, please let me know if this has been your experience. But most of us have this as our first experience. Like they realize they now have anxiety. They've gotten married to someone and they don't really know you. And they're like, I wonder if they do this. I wonder what they do with that, or how will they handle this? And so all of these questions start to come up. And so what happens if you don't give them this opportunity to kind of be introduced to how you will serve them in a very transparent way, is you allow that anxiety to continue to grow. And that creates a very easy opportunity for like these moments of mistrust and these moments of them feeling like you are not fulfilling your side of the bargain, but just because they didn't know, they weren't sure. And there might be even if it's a drop of a feeling of like, oh my goodness, I don't know, or they didn't tell me, somehow it feels very uncomfortable. Okay. It feels very, very uncomfortable for the client. And so giving them this information upfront and saying, hey, by the way, you can reach out to us in this cadence. And by the way, this is how frequently we're going to meet. And just really giving them this information in a slower kind of drip pattern in the way that you introduce it, it reaffirms that trust. It reaffirms the possibilities of them feeling supported by this and not feeling like this is a big risk, which happens, right? We all feel that way after we sign a contract. We're like, I really hope this works out, right? We all feel that feeling. Okay. So we've gotten down defining the people, right? Then we're talking about defining the onboarding process. So it's like ingredients are there. When are we putting these things in? How are they getting added in? Okay. And then we talk about what are these deeper. So client is on, client is here, they're onboarded, and we're rocking and rolling. What exactly happens day to day? How are we servicing those clients? What are the expectations for communication between us and them, right? What are the services that are being provided, and how are you taking those steps? Now we get deeper into the overall processes and business documenting, process documenting for businesses has sometimes this negative rap. And, people think about this old school version of an SOP manual that goes on a shelf somewhere, and somebody sat down for 50 hours to create it, and it just gets old. Like, it's almost like the drive the car off the lot situation, right? It's like right away it gets depreciated. Like, here, you're done. Oh, now it's outdated, and that's real. That's a real concern. The truth is you have to think of your processes. They are the living, breathing space where your business stays alive, right? Even if you don't have a place for your processes, and you don't have them documented in a formula or in a structured way, you have processes. They may not be pretty, be honest. They may not be structured, but they exist. And when you don't really know whether you have processes, you're missing the opportunity, which is being able to look at them and discern whether they are functioning well, right? Because now you're maybe constantly reworking, maybe constantly just trying to figure out, is that the right step? I don't know. Let me just try it a different way. You're kind of ad hoc, like adjusting your processes without even realizing, maybe because you don't really remember, to be honest, right? A lot of us serve multiple clients, or we're serving clients with different systems, different software. So like what we were going to do today, maybe we haven't done for like weeks for this software. And so we're looking at it and we're like, I don't even remember. Like that happens to me, or has happened to me more frequently with zealous payments. Some systems don't process when you're ingesting ERAs, and this is for my medical billers, getting a little bit in the weeds, just as an example for my billers. Some software do not address adjustments very well. So when the zealous payments takes their little fee for sending an ERA or depositing an EFT, they have this little fee that they apply. And that's how Zealous, makes money, basically. And so they apply this little fee on every ERA, and not all the systems process those correctly. And because I'm not seeing that on a regular basis, because not all the systems treat it the same, when it happens, it's like, oh, how do I do this again? So the very first time that comes up, that I come up with the proper solution, or we're given the proper solution for how to navigate it, it needs to be documented. It needs to be documented like immediately, because if not, what will happen, without a doubt, in a service-based business, you will be reintroduced to this time and time again, and every time you will be like, oh my gosh, how do I do this again? How do I do this? And go back. Let me look at my emails. Let me look at, what did I do last time? Let me look at a past scenario. And you're trying to retrace it. And again, now you've wasted time. You've wasted resources, right? You wasted your greatest resources, right? Your time, and then your money. And you're sitting here spinning wheels on something that you could have just, let me go refer to the process or the steps to what I did last time. And so there's videos that we've talked about how to document process. I'm not going to go deep into that, but know that processes, they're existing. I expect to structure your medical billing business that you will actually document it in a way that works for you if you're running it, and could possibly work for folks who will join your team in the future. All right. You have to be thinking that not everybody learns like you. You're like, I've got processes and I just like write down these like special little mind maps, and that tells me like what order, because I know what color I use. And you're like creating this whole thing that only speaks to you in the way that you like to orient your understanding of a new thing, right? That's great. That's how you like to learn. But what about the person who's more of a visual learner, or someone who feels like they need the auditory, like they need to hear something, or they need a little bit of both mixed together, right? So thinking of that, especially if you know that this is an area that is not your area of strength, or an area that you love, like you got to be thinking about those processes first. Like, I do not like redundant and rigid things. Payment posting and I don't get along. I can post payments like nobody's business. I can get it done. I just will hate every second of it. And so when it has to get done, if I have to do it, if let's say if I'm onboarding a new client, the very first thing I'm thinking about is I want to learn this and I want to document the crap out of it so I can give it to someone else, because I do not want to have to touch this again. And so I will make sure that it's documented in such a way that someone else can take it on and feel very clear about how to embody the process and make it their own. When I say embody it, I mean learn it so that it can be done and done very, very, very effectively. But there are ways that people actually can take, if done correctly, take your process and turn it up a notch. They can actually improve upon it. And that's the kind of thing when I talk about the living and breathing document, is like giving your team even full permission to make improvements, corrections to your processes. And I don't mean like, oh, just like let them go out there and scrap it. No, like you got to have a process for updating processes and approval process for that. However, you want your team to know just because it's been done this way does not mean that it needs to remain this way. I know that you have experience and expertise that you've hired them. Hopefully they do, right? They might have experience and expertise that can help to improve the way that you're doing something. And I'll say this, like I know I've seen so many scenarios where people get so stuck in their process and their way of doing it that even if somebody who's come in who has like Excel, like master skills and could kill the creation, a recreation, augmentation of a spreadsheet, like nobody's business. But because this person is so stuck and rigid in the way that they've created this really dumbed down version of a workbook that someone who comes in with master skills in Excel would be able to blow out of the water and give so much more detail and so much more support to that step or that process, right? They are so rigid and stuck in their ways that they don't even think about that person's skill set and how it could support the business. All right. So you have to be willing to like tell the team, I want you to be a part of the business getting better. I want you to know that this living, breathing document, if it needs to change, it needs to change, and let's change it, right? This is how processes end up getting stale, is how I refer to that when they get old, is because this invitation is not there, because it's not told to the team like, hey, you matter and your opinion of how this company runs matters. This is for the greater good of everybody. And the concept of processes we'll talk in detail about in a separate video, but there is actually a couple of other videos where I talk about this. But David Finkel, in his book, a couple of different books that he's written, but like one that I'm thinking about right now is called Scale. Scale, he talks about this concept, and it's a little morbid, just putting it out there, called hit by the bus strategy, which means like you got to be creating your business in a way that if you, God forbid, something happens to you, you're not terminally ill, you're not completely down for the count, but you've been injured enough that you need rest and you cannot come to work. What happens? And this is possible, not just you that own the business, but this is possible for every single person in the business. And so what we want is for everybody in your business to feel supported and be given this opportunity to take rest when they need rest if something happens, right? So you're building your business in such a way that no matter what, everybody is given permission to bake in an opportunity for support for them and their roles. So that means that if someone has come in and they saw your process and then they were like, oh, okay, like, cool. Well, this isn't right because the software is different now or whatever. And then they recreate, which is what they're doing, their own process, but they don't adjust the earlier iteration. It's stale. That's the first thing. And second thing is it's no longer now supportive for them. And that's not the idea, right? That's not the idea. Okay. So pulling out of documenting processes, again, there are so many videos where I've talked about this in the past. There are some lives. This is definitely something that we could continue the conversation around processes, people and processes, because they're just so important. The next tip for structuring your medical billing business is really focusing all of your attention on structuring the elements of client relationship and communication with those clients. Okay. So that client relationship, what does it need first? Like, there are clients who will straight up tell you, if we don't talk, I will not feel loved. They won't say it like that, but that's the reality. It's like a love language situation, right? It's like, if they cannot speak to you from time to time, then they will not feel supported. Okay. So if that is the case and that client has communicated that to you, then you need to have a real conversation and say, hey, what does it look like for you to feel supported? How frequently would we need to speak? And you get a real honest answer, because you might come into it and be like, we're going to talk once a week. And I'm like, you know what? If we talk once a month, I am so happy with this. And all of a sudden you've given yourself this task of talking to them once a week, and they're happy with once a month, right? So if you have a monthly meeting with them, they're A-okay with that conversation once a month. Okay. So don't give yourself the requirement to determine the frequency, because I see people that do these things where they're like, oh, we send client these like email updates in detail like every 2 days or something. And I'm like, really? But what if you're not there? Like, what happens? What happens if something happens and you just like, need time? Like, what happens? And so you're giving yourself too much of an expectation. Like, how do we roll it back and ask like real questions? Ask the client straight up, like, how do you feel supported? How can I make sure that you feel like this relationship is going well? Ask them the straight questions. What does it mean for you to feel like this? What does the word success in this relationship feel like to you? What does that look like? And try to be like, just listen and not try to kind of impress upon them what your opinion is yet. I mean, you're going to introduce your process, your, framework to them, but you need to find out, because if you know that you are a business who operates without phone calls, like I have seen billing companies that don't allow clients to call and they can only email or send through a ticketing system or something like that. If that's something that you're doing, it's your prerogative. You're allowed to structure it that way, because there are some clients out there that will be so happy. They don't want to talk to you. They just want to send you messages and have you email updates and things like that, right? Maybe that is the relationship that you choose to have or that they want to have with you. And that's fulfilling for both. But at least you've given an opportunity to that client to actually voice. Okay. So when I say focus on client relationships, I really mean getting clear about what they need and then trying your best to meet within reason, meet that need. And I don't mean saying yes to everything, because there are people who sometimes think they need to talk to you every day, or they need to have you send an update every day or whatever, because that's what has happened in the past, right? That's not what we're saying. We're saying, okay, let's talk about what the expectation is, or what helps you feel supported and seen in this client relationship. And then let's wind it back and say, okay, like, how can I take what we do as a company and present it in a way that this client feels seen, supported, and well serviced, right? How do we make those two? How can they speak to each other? And now your internal client methodology might be totally different than what they're communicating as expectations. So then the question is when you introduce it, can you ask the questions of, how can I make this more supportive for you? Like, we send an email update once a week. And you don't, not once a day. How could we make this more supportive for you? Maybe we could send it on a day where you have more time to review it, and we can include some elements like daily updates or something. I don't know, whatever might come up, right? Like, starting to ask the questions of like, okay, that's your desire. Here's how I know that I could potentially show up. Where do we find this middle ground? It doesn't mean you bending to them or them bending to you. Maybe there's a middle ground, or maybe there's an opportunity for you to kind of augment what you're doing with said whatever way that you're serving them so that at the front end, so that they feel the support. And I'll say that, like, for example, when we do onboarding, we believe in the onboarding process starts there. There's a lot of steps. We're not going to go detail, but once the kickoff happens, we then, for kickoff is a formal meeting. We then do weekly meetings. We do weekly meetings for at least 4 to 6 weeks with a new client account. And reasons for that, there's a lot of them, but it gives us this time, right? It's carved out. We don't necessarily have a formed, set, required agenda. Like, we aren't necessarily going to go through all these numbers with them every meeting and report on this and that. And it's a space. It's a space for us to have a conversation around things that maybe haven't been talked about or need to be addressed, that maybe got introduced in an email exchange or in a ticket or something like that, or internally with the team, that need to be discussed. So it gives us the space to have those conversations. And in those moments, in that relationship, we're giving this space for communication to flow, and we're establishing trust, right? Once the trust is building and they still start to see, okay, like, they seem to be doing what they're supposed to do. They're on, right? Feel good about this, right? Once that happens, we then start to say, okay, like, we're here. We haven't had a whole lot to talk about. The last couple of meetings was only 20 minutes or 15, 20 minutes or whatever. So we're going to start moving to a bi-weekly. So every 2 weeks we'll get together and we'll have a touch point. Let's just schedule 20 minutes on each other's calendar, right? And then we'll do the same thing. We'll kind of, how's it going? Assess it after that next month. And then we might go to once a month. Eventually, our graduation takes us down to quarterly client meetings, meaning we actually don't have a full-on face-to-face, like, sit down, talk about all the things, whatever. I say sit down virtually, sit down with them, no more than once a quarter. But that's because the trust is there. That's because the relationship is established, right? And so that same client could have been one who met every day with their billers in-house. That happens sometimes. Like, we've had clients come on and they have someone who is in the office with them, literally in the physical office with them, so they can just say what they want to them in the middle of the day. That's so hard to adjust to, but we've created steps that give them the sense of comfort and reassurance that, oh, you're there. I feel you. I'm safe in this relationship. Like, truly, that's what it is. I'm secure in this, like, relationship. There's a sense of, like, me being able to exhale in this moment after I feel supported. Okay. All right. So very last, definitely not least, very last tip. So let me go over the 4 again. So we said defining your people, right? The people. We're talking about what it is, the people, both clients and the folks and the team members. We're thinking about how we're bringing those people into our world. So the onboarding parts, right? We're talking about what they're doing when they're there. That's the documenting of the process, right? And we're like, how are we nurturing this? Like, how are we nurturing these client relationships, right? Focusing on the client relationships, communication, getting clear about what it means to fill their tank. How will they feel supported? How will they feel cared for, right? You have to understand that. The last thing pairs so well with step number 4, which is you got to learn when it's time to say no. You have to learn how to say no. You have to learn how to say no and say it with your chest, my friends. You got to say it with your chest. Like, you got to be so confident that, like, I will not do that. Thank you for asking. But no, that's not how my business will operate, because this is the policy. Okay. You have to know how to say no to keep yourself on track, because your business structure has a foundation that we're laying. And that's what we're talking about, right? We're building a structure that says, okay, this is firm enough to hold my business for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, hopefully, right? You're hopefully building a business that can stand the test of time. The moment you start saying yes to things that don't belong here, is you basically chipping away at the foundation. Just like, I'm gonna take this board out and and then I really don't need that one. And all of a sudden you're foundation can't hold the weight of the business anymore because you've introduced all these things that shouldn't be there. You said yes to people that don't really belong. You said yes to clients that don't really belong. And now you have a very, very, very shaky foundation that cannot sustain the business and the structure and the business's needs. And so I say that just as a very specific example, and I'll give myself as the example. I had now I'll have to tell this story. I'm going to give the short version. Huge opportunity. It was in my first 10 years of business towards the end. So I'm like, this is it. I'm crossing over. Like, I'm in multi-million-dollar business like level with this opportunity, like, comes to me and I'm like, yes, this is it, and their name, like, shortened, had like SS in the, like, part of we always give our clients acronyms as like their client codes, and their short name was like SS. We're like, oh, this is it. This is the big kahuna, like the SS, whatever. Like, it's going to be amazing. Like, it's like this huge opportunity that has just like come to us. And I'm super excited. I really respect the CEO. I really respect the idea of the business, right? But it's like, I got it. And I looked under the hood. The whole time I'm like, yes, when we're in the initial conversations, it's like, oh, can you do it for this instead? Oh, you know what? We don't want to be charged a commission rate. Can you just do it like for this instead? Just like flat rate? And we're like, yeah, sure. I mean, at this time, I'm just going to throw some numbers out there to you guys, right? So at this time I'm saying yes. And the numbers are bigger than I have ever had with any client relationship. It was $22,000 a month. And so I'm like, sure. Yeah. Easy, right? Like, of course I can figure out. I'm thinking to myself, of course I'll be able to work out the budget for that. So I'm thinking about all the ways that we do that right now for clients and what we serve. Get the client. I look under the hood and it's a disaster. Love the client, love the CEO, everything about the way that the department, which was in-house before, the in-house billing department, in-house billing department, they were bringing it outside to us, which was amazing. Huge. I love this because then like we can really rework and create so much more opportunity, way less expensive when they have 9 people in-house to go to an outside company, right? So great. Super excited. Looking at all of the things and I'm like, oh yeah, we can streamline the crap out of it. When I see it, I'm like, whoa, your software not set up. You're manually posting everything because you can't post electronically. It's not because the people don't know how to, or they didn't leverage it. It's because it's broken. Like no one thought to share that. And I'm yesing my way through the whole thing and realizing like, yeah, sure, we got it. Sure, we can do this. Realizing that now not only it's like so great, $22,000 a month, so awesome. But this account is costing me $25,000 to run. That is not sustainable business, my friends. If you do the math, I am paying $3,000 a month to have this client, this person, this office, this practice as a client. Not sustainable. Okay. And so kept coming up. Hey, this is where I am. But maybe you could just do this instead and try. Sure. Yes, sure. I just yesed my way literally into debt and had to climb my way back out of it by laying down the law and saying, hey, like this was not what it was when we first started this relationship. I didn't have all of the right information presented to me. And so I'm going to instead honor what I know to be true. I finally got my no, but y'all, it was like a year and change into the relationship. So it was painful for both parties. It was also painful for them, right? Because they had expectations because I said yes. How would they know otherwise, right? I said yes to it. I started to learn, and instead of me being super transparent, I was still very, very young in business, right? Instead of being super transparent and saying, hey, I'm learning these things and this is causing major issues really early. I did eventually start to do that. But earlier on, I was so afraid. Like I didn't want to lose $22,000 a month. That's a lot. Like it's a huge opportunity. And it was flat rate. Felt right. Felt good. Meaning like they're going to pay this no matter what. It felt right because, the money was there and it was fixed. I thought, okay, I can work with this budget. I can figure it out. But it was like impossible when you have broken systems to try. You are using people to patch those broken systems. That's the only way to do it. And so unless you choose to fix the system, right, you've got to literally get a new software and you got to fix it. Otherwise, you're putting people over it to fix it. And so that was why it was costing them so much money, even in-house, right? So learn how to say no so you don't end up like me and end up having to literally go into debt because of your yes. So, oh, I love that. That's so, I have to do more storytelling, huh? Is that what you want? Is that what you're telling me, Blue Butterfly? Thank you for that share. Cause yeah, I realize I don't do enough storytelling around why I say the things that I say, even processes and stuff. Like I believe wholeheartedly in these things. Mostly, you guys, when you're in a business like this for over 20 years, there's been a lot of pain. And so a lot of pain in the process of learning that causes the necessity for adjustments. And that is why I am hopeful that not only like in today's conversation, but also in the other ones that we talk about this related topic and on Saturday's webinar, I'm hopeful that you take this information and you learn from it and you implement it and you do something different. And that's my hope for the inner circle folk. Like that's why we're working together and seeing the collaborative opportunity, because at the start of business, like most people, they get like super competitive and they hold so dearly. Oh, my baby, like, I don't want to share this with anybody. And it's like very scarcity, mindset. And they feel very focused on creating these walls up around them. And then all of a sudden they feel alone and lonely, and it's already hard enough being like the only entrepreneur in your family or your lineage, if that's your situation, like it is mine, right? Where the one who's starting businesses is like, you don't have anybody else in your circle to tap into. You already are finding yourself feeling in feelings of loneliness that you're creating, adding more walls up to protect yourself around people that are in your situation and your scenario is actually opposite of what you should be doing. It's opposite of the things that'll serve you, right? The way that you can still feel fulfilled. So yeah, I'm excited though. If you guys did not hear this at the front part or you missed it, we have not a seminar, so old school, a webinar. That is where the word came from now, if you guys know that. A webinar this coming Saturday, September 14th. It is one that you will need to register for. I forgot to mention that earlier. It is not going to be here on YouTube or whatever platform you're watching from right now. I know that we go live on a few places, but on YouTube, it won't exist. So if you come to YouTube, you will be very saddened. And on Saturday, days before Saturday, we are sending the links out for folks who have registered. So it's important that you register, not just like thinking about it, Saturday morning, like in advance, because we want to make sure that we have you on the list so that you get the links and you know where you're supposed to go. We have had questions about whether it will be recorded. The answer is yes, it will be recorded and available for what they call replay for up to a week after. Am I saying that right? On members only. I forget. No, a week after for everybody. Yes. Okay. Nicole's giving me the thumbs up. A week after for everybody on replay. And then after the week, it's only available for YouTube members. So if you don't catch it and you want to watch it, you still have a whole week to do that. If you can't, for whatever reason, make it there on Saturday, you got to register though, because the link will only go to people who have registered, and then it will go loaded for our members here on the YouTube channel. All right. So, and Nicole's popping she's such good timing always, Nicole. Specifically the seedlings, which is the $5 tier. So yeah, the YouTube link or YouTube membership, if you are watching from any other platform, put it on this one here so you can see the signal. You're going to go to YouTube and there is a link in there that says join. You can do that, or you're going to find this video, look for the chat and click on this link that Nicole popped in there, or you're going to go to this video or any video that's recent and click the little description box to see that. And you're going to click on the whatever it says there that talks about memberships. All right, the link that says join our membership. So important for you to know that. So thank you guys so much for all the questions. We've been getting a lot of updates and people excited about the webinar. So I'm thrilled that you guys are excited. I'm excited to deliver it. You know, huge reason why is last year is super billing. Yeah. That's right. Too many S's. Yeah. So super billing sprouts tier, which is the $5 tier. That's the tier that has that will have the video webinar recording available in perpetuity. And we're going to continue doing stuff like this. So I'm curious to know what it is that you guys want to know. If you've watched this and you're really not in medical billing business, but you just happen to enjoy hanging out with me, I really like that. Thank you for being here. But if you're not really interested in it, then let me know what it is that you are interested in. And we're just trying to get a sense of like the things that can serve folks and in a more real way. There is opportunity for us to do some of this chatting, we'll say, here on YouTube, obviously. But if we do these webinars from time to time where it's on the weekend and there's more opportunity for you to come, be present, what would you want that content to be? All right. So with that said, I've been thirsty since I got that frog in my throat earlier. So I'm going to let you guys get back to your day. I'm so thankful that you're here. And if you are not familiar, at the end of our videos, we end our videos with a reel of our members. And so we're so very grateful for every single person that is listed here on the membership level and for all of you who choose to watch. If this is your very first time hanging out with us and you have not subscribed yet, please consider subscribing to the channel. Please consider doing the little thumbs up and heart and whatever this platform that you're watching from has, so that you can stay up to date on the content and stay connected and let the algorithm know that you like it. It's helpful for us. It's helpful for you. So you get more of this type of content delivered to you. So thank you so much again. And I will see you guys on Thursday for another live stream. We are back together on Thursday. Have a blessed day. Take care.